About a week ago, I stepped foot into Barnes & Noble. Firstly, I'd like to say welcome or welcome back to my channel, and secondly, that I hope you're having a great day. So about a week ago, I stepped foot into Barnes & Noble, and that has led to me picking up The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson and recording pretty much the rest of the video that you are about to see. So this was a journey, this was an adventure, this was an occurrence. Without further ado, let's roll the footage. Hi, what are you doing back there? Alrighty, hello from me and Mitsy. So, this is my first check-in. I am roughly halfway through, and I have tabbed the absolute hell out of this. This is excellent so far. I'm really glad that I finally treated myself to this. It was really expensive for a paperback. It's $17 whole. Yes, I did. Woo!
Bombastic side-eye. Criminal offensive side-eye.
If anyone is interested, if I finally have my Etsy shop up and running, that will be linked below. So yeah, I guess that's that. This is the first full day of me reading The Haunting of Hill House. Hi. Good morning. What you doing? Say hi. So I just finished The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. During the last 20 pages or so, something I don't know, fucking flew into my window. Nothing broke, it's fine. I'm assuming it was a rock or something. How? Don't know. I'm trying not to think about that. The opening paragraph is the exact same as the closing. So, I just feel empty, which might just be the sign of a good horror book for me at this point. It is currently 1:30-ish a.m. I have a cat sitting on me. So I think the problem is that they're two completely different types of scary. One of them is very concrete and using color and angles and acting. But then the book, for example, when Nell and Theo, they see, or at least Nell sees the family picnic with the dog, and then all of a sudden Theo tells her to run and to not look back. And we don't know what she sees. that's literally left up to the imagination. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So to wrap everything up, I'm going to go through the 4 C's of book reviewing, which are character, conflict, context, and craft. So as far as character, we have to look at, does the author do a good job of proving their humanity to make us actually care about the character we're reading about? And does the character actually want something throughout the story? I am going to really talk about this and most of the C's in regards very specifically to our point of view character, which is Eleanor, because we get the most in-depth experience from her, even though it's in third person point of view from her perspective. In regards to Eleanor's humanity, we know that she spent roughly 10, 11 years caring for her mother, who was unwell. And this entire time, Eleanor has a sister who is married with a kid, and she's not there helping take care of the mom. So she has this sort of resentment for her sister. She is trying to find herself, but she also seems to not want to be alone either. That is a huge part of the, I'm not sure if I would call it the climax per se of the story, but towards the last quarter of the story, that is a large part of it actually, because she's like, hey Theo, I'm gonna go home with you when you leave. And she's like, yeah, no, you're not. That's not happening. And this is all because Eleanor is gonna be living alone. She's not gonna be living with her sister. She's not gonna have, like, yes, she's not necessarily saying she wants her mother back, but she doesn't want to be alone. She hasn't been alone for the past 11 years of her life. And then she goes to Hill House, where she's still not alone. She has the, 3 other people who are there. And she knows that after the end of the trip, she's going to go back to her mother's house and be completely alone. So the entire story, she just doesn't want to be left alone. She feels very left out when Theo and Luke are doing their own thing, because those are her people. And if they're having their own thing, she's not involved. And so she's kind of detached from those situations, and she feels alone very suddenly. And she's like, wait, I don't like this feeling. Guys, what's going on? And I think this is a large part of why I think Eleanor is a relatively easy character to connect to, but not a simple character. Her humanity isn't, oh, I cared for my mother, I love my mother, I'm so depressed that my mother is dead. It is, I have complicated feelings about my family because my mother relied on me for 10 years, and my sister does not care about me at all and didn't help, and I was completely alone taking care of my mother, but I wasn't alone in that house. Moving on to our second C, which is conflict. Conflict is a combination of what are the stakes, why do they matter, and what are the consequences. I think a very interesting aspect of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and I have a feeling probably a good majority of her other short stories and novellas, is that a lot of the conflict area is very open to interpretation, or it's very open-ended. As far as the house, at least, we don't really know what the stakes are. But as far as Eleanor is concerned as a character, there's not really much of a stake other than, hey, I don't know if I want to leave. I don't know if I want to be alone, and this is my way of not being alone. As far as the actual plot with the house, we don't really know exactly what's at stake. Sure, we might assume, because most of us in 2024 know that haunted house stories have a certain formula that they follow. People tend to die. People get possessed. There's so many different things that can happen. But there is no very clear, if we stay too long, this thing will happen. That is more of a thing that we start connecting the dots on pretty much as Eleanor is leaving Hill House, because people are like, hey, we're so sorry we made you stay this long. You need to get out of here. And we're like, this has never been brought up before. What are you talking about? And of course, this is very much a discussion of mental health, in that Eleanor was in some way very susceptible to being harmed by the house mentally. But all we know is that it matters to Eleanor. With the context being our third C, it is probably our most in-depth way of looking at The Haunting of Hill House. Context is basically the rules of setting, who has the power, what do the characters see and not see, who do we see and not see, what do we see and not see as the reader, and what is it that the characters are sensing outside of just visuals. As we can see at this point, a lot of this very much feeds or bounces or blends in with one another, and I think that is one way of telling a very well coherent, cohesive story like Shirley Jackson pulled off with The Haunting of Hill House. We know that technically the house is the one that is in control and has the power. Technically, we believe that these characters can leave at any time. They can open any door, they can leave it open. But we see either the characters assuming that Mrs. Dudley is closing doors behind them, or it's actually the house and that's just their way of coping and saying it, oh, it must be Mrs. Dudley. A lot of the scare of the book is what we don't see. There is something to the unknown, and I think that's a lot of what horror tries to explore is the unknown. In Our Wives Under the Sea, it's the unknown of the ocean. In The Haunting of Hill House, it's the unknown of the world, basically. It's the unknown of Eleanor didn't look back because Theo told her not to look back, but Theo looked back. And so we don't know what was seen when Theo told Eleanor to run. But in theory, Theo saw whatever it was. We just don't know what it was. That is basically what adds to the atmospheric levels of fear. Our last C is craft. Everything else has kind of led up to this. Everything for Hill House specifically has sort of built up into the craft. Craft usually consists of, are you overwriting? Are you explaining things too much and not trusting your reader? There's so much left open to interpretation, so much left open, instead of Shirley Jackson having one takeaway she wanted with this story and pushing that on the reader and making sure it got stuck in our heads, like I think quite a number of YA novels are doing today. She goes, you know what? I'm going to take my hands off the wheel. I'm going to write this, and I'm going to write it the way I want to, and I'm going to let the reader read it the way they want to, and we'll see how this turns out. And for my reading experience, that was exactly what I needed. Overall, I loved my reading experience. I loved this book. I can't wait to read the estate authorized sequel and find out more about why that book was specifically authorized by her estate as a sequel, and to maybe compare and contrast the two and see what the sequel did differently, or if it followed the exact same formula, and maybe read some more haunted house novels and see if there are other formulas for writing a haunted house story. The first book I've got is Eileen by Ottessa Moshfegh. These are always going to fall out of my book. Very excited. Literally the only reason I wanted this book, I was watching some trailers with my parents.
People are so ashamed.
And I was like, oh my god.
That's very good, Eileen.
This looks so gay. It has Anne Hathaway and Thomasin McKenzie in it. And this is a buddy read. This is way bigger than I thought it was. And the buddy read is running until the end of the month.
What you say?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh my god, the bookmark fell out. This is a collection of essays about Jill Gutowitz realizing she was a lesbian. And then my last must finish by the end of the month is Vita Nostra. This is actually for Katie Coulson's Smut Salon, which I actually haven't read Bunny yet. I feel like that's a crime. If Katie's watching this, I know I'm going to love it, so I'm trying to get it in a hardcover because that's how my brain works. Anyway, this will be the first time, if I am able to finish it on time, that I will actually be able to attend a live stream thing. And that's about it. If you have any recommendations for other vlogs, whether they are other Shirley Jackson books or similar novels or anything of that nature, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. And I hope to see you guys soon. Bye. that in mind. There is no family aspect. There is a family aspect. By Ottessa Moshfegh. If I'm saying that incorrectly, please correct me. The hazards of talking too fast when you have ADHD. You literally don't say correctly the right way and potentially said the complicated author's name more correctly than the word correctly. I just realized one of the books for this month isn't in here. Really in the middle of any. Goodreads is already telling me I'm one book behind schedule. I need to shut the fuck up.